Hello everyone, it's been a while since I uploaded. Actually checking now, it's been a lot longer than I thought, over half a year now, so whoops. But I want to make this video to give like a quick little update on the channel and also to give my thoughts on the RuneFest reveals. As for why this is coming out so late, because the RuneFest reveals were like weeks ago now, I had some computer troubles that kind of delayed it. Anyway, so as for that mini update, I have been working on Progress Episode 10 for the past few months now. It's just been on and off. I've been busy with other things and haven't been able to devote as much time to Old School as I needed to finish the video. And I've also been holding off on playing some content like Fossil Eye until I get to finish the video the way I wanted and can start that in the next Progress video. You'll see when it's out. Hopefully, I would say out later this month, but I'm honestly not sure if I'll get to it in time. But trust me, I hopefully will have it out sometime before the end of the year, and hopefully it'll be worth the wait. Probably not, but hopefully. Anyway, as for RuneFest reveals, so I'm here in Crandor, because it was actually the last thing brought up at RuneFest, but it's already been pulled and passed, and that is Dragon Slayer 2. So Dragon Slayer 2 is going to be a new quest, or Grandmaster quest, I should say. There's already a dev blog to read all about it, but it's looking into the origins of why Elvarg was on Crandor on behalf of the Myth Guild. Myth Guild. I hope I'm saying that properly. I feel like I'm not pronouncing it right. But yep, there's Elvarg right there, the dead dragon. Anyway, so you're looking into the origins of Elvarg and dragons in general, and it's Grandmaster Quest. It'll have rune inanimate dragons, a new zombie blue dragon boss, a ranged equivalent of the Dragonfire Shield, upgraded Avas, the Dragon Kite Shield and Plate Body expands south of Feldep Hills. If you want to read more about it, you can just check the dev blog, because that's already out and most things in it already passed, only a few things didn't, or you could just check the poll in game if you wanted. So yeah, but that's a really cool quest. It's actually something not what I have been suggesting, but very similar. For a long time, I've been promoting there being adamant and rune dragons in Old School and having them drop the Kite Shield and Plate Body respectively, and that's exactly what happens here. I also have been suggesting a quest there. I usually call it something like Kamora's Legacy, because Kamora was a hero from the 4th Age. She has a statue in the Heroes Guild, but nothing is known about her besides she fought a dragon. So I thought that would make a cool Dragon Slayer 2, but whether or not that is going to be part of the quest, I have no idea. They kept it very vague, and I like that, although deep down I'm really hoping that Kamora is involved, because it seems like, especially the whole Myth Guild thing, that could be a topic that's touched on along with dragons and dragonkin, which seem pretty likely. The requirements for Dragon Slayer 2 are also out. I'll probably put them on screen about now in the video. If not, complain. Anyway, so aside from Dragon Slayer 2, there are some other quests coming out this year, and I don't really have anything else to show in game, but they did confirm that Making Friends with My Arm, the quest announced last year at RuneFest, is still something that's being planned for 2018. We haven't heard a lot about this quest, and Modash kind of suggested that maybe they weren't going to do that, or maybe they do something else instead, but it seems like that quest is still coming, which is good to see. And aside from that, they have confirmed that they are planning more quests in Zaya. They actually have a couple in a dev blog at the moment. They have not yet got the poll up, though, because they've been having some trouble with polls. But there's 2 new novice quests in Zaya. They plan to do 1 for each house, apparently. And there still is that Fremnik quest as well. And as well as some other little quests here and there. Like, I know they didn't announce at RuneFest specifically, but they did mention in the past how some of the mods are looking to doing a new vampire quest, and another mod, Mod Tom Mage, is looking to a sequel to Miscellanean Mystery, that Halloween quest that became a proper quest. So yeah, there's a lot more quests coming in 2018 and beyond, and I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to Dragon Slayer 2, and also Dragon Slayer 2 is due out like January, February, if all goes according to plan, so that's really awesome. Well, since Dragon Slayer 2 was actually the last reveal, might as well continue just reading them off in reverse order. And second to last was PvP Rejuvenation, which really was a whole bunch of different updates combined into one giant talk of things relating to the wilderness and PvP. So the first thing that it talked about was a Bounty Hunter rework, which I feel probably was not explained the best, but the idea is like, you not really get a Slayer task, but you can be assigned to kill players using specific gear setups for like extra reward. Like the example given was like, wear a full set of barrows to kill a player, or something like that. And I don't know, that sounds interesting. I'm not really a big PvPer myself, but it sounds like a unique twist to Bounty Hunter. I'm not sure it's going to replace the current bounty target system, probably not, but I don't know, the idea was like you talk to the emblem trader, he'll give you a special condition to kill players with. If you do that, you'll earn ranks and get loot stuff and get like a cosmetic armor set depending on your rank. I don't know, it sounds pretty cool. I'm not sure exactly how it is, I guess we'll have to wait and see the dev blog, but it seems interesting to say the least. Next up is, not so, Mage Arena 2. They talked about doing Mage Arena 2 to add a new best-in-slot Magic game, which is something that I've been wanting for a long time as well. Actually, one of my first suggestions for Old School, I think, was a Mage Arena 2 suggestion back on the Old School forums, or the RuneScape forums, before I moved to Reddit. But the thing about it that's kind of, I guess, polarizing is that instead of fighting a PvM challenge in an instance like the first one, you have to fight 3 bosses that roam the wilderness. And if you want a cape, you have to kill all 3 of those bosses for every cape you want to get. And they're meant to be challenging. Each boss is meant to be weak to a different god spell, and I think that's cool. But I personally can't say I'm a huge fan of putting these bosses around the wilderness, or it's just, so far, a lot of the capes have been about solo challenges, so making the players go out deep wilderness or around the wilderness, hunting down a moving boss, and then having to deal with PKers in teams, whereas before it was just getting to the Mage Arena that was the problem. I don't know, I'm not a huge fan of this, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm not completely opposed to the idea, but I kind of am hoping that they might reconsider or do it more traditionally. Aside from that, they did talk about Rev Caves. This is something that players have been wanting for a while, at least some players. Rev Caves were a very nice PvP, PvM area where PvMers could kill the Revs, PvPers could kill other PvPers, and the PvMers. I don't know, I think it is a pretty unique, or pretty decent update. I don't think it has to be Revenants, and I'm not sure if it will be Revenants, but the drops are not decided. They're not going to bring back the old Revenant drops, so have to wait and see what they offer, but I think this could be a good update, although I also am worried about adding too many caves around the wilderness, or I don't know, that is a bit of a concern. I'd rather see updates to the Deep Wilderness Dungeon and the Lava Maze Dungeon to make them more useful rather than just adding a whole bunch more dungeons, but we'll have to wait and see what else comes with Wilderness Rejuvenation stuff. They talked about some other updates, like possibly a Wilderness Impling. That's been a popular suggestion for years. Love to see that, or just other Implings in the Wilderness. I'm not sure if you do get any Implings. I don't think so. And another thing they talked about that I'm not a huge fan of is a Chaos Altar buff. So the Chaos Altar by KBD, where you can telegrab wines now, they're planning to let you, or planning to offer anyway, the ability to use bones on there to get more experience than a Gilded Altar. I still think it's going to be less than an Ecto, and there'll be an NPC there to unnote bones, so it'll be really good prayer experience, like the best prayer experience in the game. But it's going to be PvP in a multi-zone. And while I'm not opposed to that sort of concept, I'm personally not a huge fan of it just because I don't think the wilderness should be better experience rates. I feel the risk versus reward should always be profit and not better experience. So stuff like dark crabs, they're not the best fishing experience, but they're good fishing experience, they're good money. Not stuff like black chins that are good experience, good money. I think it would be fine if black chins were the same experience as red chins, just higher profit. So I'm not a huge fan of this being the best prayer experience, but I do think it is balanced enough that it could work. So I don't know, it depends on what the community decides in the end. If it does even make it to a poll, we'll have to wait and see. But the PvP updates are interesting. I wish they talked more about doing like a new wilderness boss. There was an awesome idea for like a mammoth boss, especially a mammoth boss being ridden by a chaos dwarf, which I think would be awesome, or reworks to the existing bosses or more stuff like that. But overall, I don't think they should be adding a ton of new content to the wilderness and just trying to improve what's there, like I said, the old dungeons. So hopefully we get to see a nice dev block on that. They didn't really give like any suggested date of when even, so we'll just have to wait and see what's up with that. Next up on the reveals was the big skilling update of the year, which will be farming. And this is something I'm also really happy to see. So we know for a while that Modash has been working on rewriting the farming timer, so you won't have it where if you log out, your crops sometimes don't grow for a while because of the whole tick system. So that's something they're already planning, and that's going to come, I think, regardless. But built on that, they want to expand farming patches and offer a lot more stuff, like snake grats for allotment. They talked about like bamboo and hops that you could use to make battle staves, and the one I'm really excited about, dragon fruit trees, and they even talked about using dragon fruits for potions, so they'd be fruit trees, and I'm really excited about this because for a long time I've kind of been, I guess, campaigning for dragon fruit trees from farming. For no real reason, actually. I mean, I've had a few dragon fruit things in real life, and I think they're decent, but I don't know, I think it's more just because I think they'd be a cool fruit tree, even if they're actually not a tree. Details aside. And yeah, they just have dragon in the name, and I think they could be a cool thing to use in potions. And I think it would make sense as a high-level fruit tree. So it really kind of like flabbergasted me that they actually talked about that on stage as something they planned to do. Because I honestly didn't really think that was going to happen. It was just like a wild little crazy dream of mine. Like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if dragon fruit trees were a high-level fruit tree? I never actually thought that would be like their go-to pick. And aside from that, I also talk about like chaos herb seeds or chaotic herb seeds. That'd be like random herbs you harvest, and evil spear trees that take you into the wilderness, but they won't take you back out. They also would like to have livestock. You can farm in Lumbridge, and you'll get to pretty much breed animals, harvest passive like resources from them, then kill them for more resources or stuff like that. And the big thing is the farming guild. This is something that right before RuneFest, General Tractor suggested on Reddit, and it was very popular. Their guild's a bit different than his, but I think it's pretty much like, it's very similar. I'm not feeling like one's superior to the other. I mean, of course, General Tractor is the community favorite, but it's pretty neat. There'll be 3 stages of the guild, each unlocked at different levels of new features. At level 60, 70, and 80, or those stages are level 60, 70, and 80. There's a bunch of different patches. I don't really have a whole bunch of notes on what where, but, and the big patch I do remember is that there is a Gaia patch, and what you grow in that patch affects every crop in the world. Like, you could plant something there that makes all your crops grow faster, or all your crops have higher yields, or I don't know. They didn't really give specifics, but I think it's an interesting concept. I think that was one of the higher level unlocks. And there also will be the Redwood patch, and a growable demi-boss that reminds me of the Jade Vine, was it? From Back to My Roots in RuneScape 2. Wasn't a huge fan of that, but I don't know, we'll have to see how the boss is. And I don't know, it looks like a cool guild. This design's a little weird. I think it was meant to be like a living guild that you'd have to do some upkeep on to keep it working. So I'm not sure exactly how it would work, but it would exist north, or pretty much in that black square on Zaya. Actually, one second. Okay, there we go. So, yeah, in the black square over here on Zaya, right here. So the plan was like right up here that had the farming guild, and like there'd be some land connecting, you know, from Shazian over here, but they also, on the map, now this was later revealed to be like nothing confirmed, just something they were playing around with pretty much, but there was Brimstone right here on the map, and also an abandoned tower like right here-ish somewhere. Anyway, Brimstone was a thing, or originally where the Inferno was supposed to go. It was moved to Tazar, or Zar, and we haven't heard much on it since, but they are still playing around with ideas of what could be in Brimstone, so I really hope that's also offered in 2018, so we can finish this whole corner of the map up here, and then we don't have the south portion of Zaya to go. Actually, oh, that's weird. What happened at the mermaid storage unit? Things you normally wouldn't have to say. Anyway, so, yeah, but it'd go up here instead of down here like General Tractor proposed, but I think it works well enough up here. It fits with the land well enough too. So, yeah, so a farming guild with farming reworks or expansions, it sounds really cool to me. I'm really happy to see farming get some love, because if you look at the skill guide, there are a lot of levels for stuff like allotments and hops that just end so early, and it'll be cool to see some high-level crops there, even not like super high level, just some more crops there. And sure, maybe experience rates would increase a little, but I feel it's worth it just for the variety in the skill. Because farming's already a really fast skill. Does it really matter if it's a little faster, because the cost would likely be insane. Like, if dragon fruits are more experienced than palm tree, dragon fruit seeds will likely be way more than palm tree to compensate. Although the idea of having some more trees around I could just harvest daily for like passive profit, that'd be neat too. Anyway, I like the farming update. It has a lot of things I've been hoping for, and it takes a lot of inspiration from General Tractor's design. Also, livestock would be in the farming guild too, so yeah. And the first reveal, and the last one I'll be covering, is Raids 2. So, Raids 2 will be called Theater of Blood, and has a very cool vampire theme. It's going to expand the Mauritania coastline. I actually just got rid of the mini-map, so I'm not going to bring that back up. But there is that building to the east, or the right of the map there, that never was touched, and it's a very big building. Well, that's going to be where the raid is, which I'm really excited to see, because RuneScape 3 never touched that building either, and it really annoyed me, because everyone always thought it would be something cool, and it just never happened to be anything. So it's nice to see we were actually going to see the map there completed, even if we can't fully explore the vampire region or like Castle Draken. But yeah, Theater of Blood looks really cool. It's designed for like 3 to 5 players. It's going to be a linear path with no randomization, so it's really focused on a challenge and not just random. And it also will include no skilling, and you'll only be able to get food from food drops and, of course, what you bring in. So it's a very different raid to Chamber of Xeric here. And I think it sounds really cool. They're also changing the death system, so if you die, you can't revive until everyone dies or until the room is cleared and you go on to the next room. So they call that a wiping death mechanic. I have seen it used in other games, and it will be really challenging, so you can't just, like, if you die, you can't just keep rushing back in. It has to be a team effort. You all go at once. And, yeah, after each room, there's going to be loot as well. I guess that's because they're changing the mechanics, so it's not like you have to wait till the end to get the good stuff. Anyway, it sounds like a really cool and challenging raid, and it also sounds pretty different to Chambers of Xeric, not just like Chambers of Xeric 2. And they did also talk about possibly expanding this raid in the future too, so it's not like this raid's done with for good now. But some of the rewards they talked about were new armors, and the idea was they'd be kind of comparable to barrows in stats, or they wouldn't be like new best-in-slot armors, but when you're in raids, they gain really powerful effects, which I think is cool, and I kind of wish they did with this raid too. Although it does worry me because the armors they did show seem to be 5-piece sets, helm, body, legs, gloves, and boots. So that means 15 items would be items only useful in raids, which kind of worries me, or at least, I don't know, I'm not sure if they'd be tradable or not. We haven't heard a ton of details, but I do like the idea of items useful in the raid. I just worry that if you have 15 items that are useful only in the raid, that might hurt the profitability of the raid if it's kind of just like raiding for raid gear, if you get what I mean. But I think it's a good idea to have more situational items like that in Arc Light rather than, you know, new best-in-slot everywhere gear. Even Twisted Bow is kind of a niche item because it doesn't work on most bosses, or there's situations where you would range where you wouldn't bring a Twisted Bow. So, aside from that, they did talk about vials of blood used to make new potions that damage you. They didn't really elaborate a whole bunch on there, but that could be interesting. Now, personally, I'd rather just see more brews than vials of blood, and, you know, more brews could damage you. But, I don't know, it could be cool to see that. I'm not sure if they plan to make, like, higher doses or stronger potions or how exactly they plan to do that. They might have mentioned, I just can't remember. And the other thing they talked about were 3 new weapons, one for each combat style, that were charged with blood runes that offer passives while powered, which I think is a really cool concept. I do feel this game needs more degrading equipment, and while it wouldn't degrade and be repaired on the armor stand in the player-owned house, which is something I really want to see, so smithing is more useful, it is nice to see some high-level degrading gear, and the community has had some really awesome ideas. I've had some of my own that I have yet to post, so I don't know. Overall, Raids 2 does sound really interesting. I still haven't done any of Raids 1 here, so maybe I'm not the best to comment on it. But overall, I think the reveals were really good. They started out strong with Raids 2. They went to the farming update. Then PvP update was probably the low point in my opinion, or just the updates were kind of disjointed, if that makes sense. Like a whole bunch of different updates and not just like one unified update. And some of them were a little more controversial or not as, yeah, that's amazing. But they ended off strong with Dragon Slayer 2. And the fact they said, and the Poe's Life now, that was like a real big surprise to immediately get the dev blog after the reveals to read and see all the details of that. But overall, I think 2018 looks to be a very good year. I think, yeah, we pretty much saw the same number of updates as last year. Last year was Raids 1, which was delayed from... Well, it wasn't delayed, but it ended up getting delayed to 2017 from 2016. But it was Raids 1, Inferno, Fossil Island, and Making Friends with My Arm. And we only got 3 of those. But if they can deliver all 4 of these updates along with the smaller stuff we have yet to hear about, or like I talked about some of the smaller quests, and I'm sure there'll be smaller updates as well. Like, I doubt Raids will be the only PvP thing in 2018. Aside from the quest, which also has some pretty interesting PvP monsters. So, or not PvP, PvM. Sorry. But yeah, overall, I'm really happy with the RuneFest reveals. There's a lot of things that I kind of almost didn't expect to get this much. Like, I even made a little RuneFest bingo for Reddit, and a lot more things were crossed off than I expected. Especially because things like Dragon Slayer 2 does seem to be like a Fossil Island quest, because it does require Bon Voyage, however you want to pronounce it. So, yeah. And aside from that, yeah, sorry there haven't been uploads on my channel. Hopefully I'll have more videos soon. I have been toying around with some new series ideas as well, but I haven't been ready to commit yet. But yeah, I have been working on the progress video. Hopefully that'll be out sometime in the near or reasonable future, let's just say, because I still need to finish some stuff there. But yep, thanks for everyone who's been tuning into my channel. Hopefully enjoyed this summary of the events and my thoughts on them. It's probably not the most concise or timely summary of the reveals, but hey, hopefully my thoughts at least made it interesting. Well, thank you for watching. Until next time, goodbye.